Hi, how are you? Welcome. Happy to join you today on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. I'm glad you can share your time with me. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back in front of the green screen, sitting on my stool. What? Um, and, you know, sometimes when I am looking into the issues of the day, as many of you have, I've no doubt had a similar experience. You are so ahead of the news cycle, thanks to yours truly, but also because your own inquisitive mind has made you look into some stuff that oftentimes you'll sit there. It's almost like you're showing a friend a pratfall video where, like, or a cat jump video, and you're like, all right, just hang in there, hang in there. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Ah, I got you. And you're just watching them go through the experience when you've been there. You know what's up. You know everything that's happening. So, or like when you recommend a series to your friend and they start binge watching it, and you're waiting for them to get to the season finale so you can talk about it, right? I feel kind of the same way about well, so many people. But I guess the greatest example currently on the interwebs is this young lady. Her name is Ann Coulter, from the German word Coulter, which means body like a hat rack, and she apparently is getting a lot of play these days for saying some sassy words. Let's hear what those sassy words are.
Influencing certain conservative outlets on TV and radio is everybody they hear from is one of the, diehard, the few dwindling remaining Trump fanatics. But after the election and then after January 6th, normal people, I'm not a normal person. I'm a political nut, and I stopped paying attention to politics. It's just a drag. It's influencing.
Yeah. So apparently the title of her podcast that she just did was Trump's Done. Well, thanks for catching up. Everybody has been jumping up and down about this shit. And I'm like, have I not? Can I? All right. Anyways, so there's a bunch of that shit going around. Needless to say, I'm a big fan of when they finally, it takes them a little while and they catch up. Then there are those that diverge from details. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I should have said that right out of the gate. This is what happens when you do your own show in your office at home. In the downstairs. I'm not calling it a basement. It's ground level windows. I'm just saying that's a basement. I believe has to be completely submerged. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But in the process of going through the details that I share with you guys, we are well ahead of some of the details that are going around about the Chinese economy and demographics, the Russian economy and demographics, all that kind of shit, right? And then there are people who it takes them a little while to kind of catch up. And then it's like your friend is binge watching this show and they missed an important detail or something. And they're like, I can't believe the sister killed him. And you're like, the sister didn't kill him. What are you talking about? It was the cop who was pretending to be the friend who was dressed up. They wore a costume and went, what were you watching? Which show are we talking about? Like, you have those kind of conversations? Fuck, you binge watched the wrong show? That's where we are. So that kind of goes with the Dan Bongholios of the world. Dan Bongholio, who is looking for teepee for his bunghole. Bongholio. And many of you will also know that I am the proud recipient of a recent award. I was blocked on Twitter by Dan Bongino. I can't tell you, there are moments of pride in everyone's life where We all realize perhaps goals we had seek to achieve our entire lives are now behind us, and the road opens up before us as a welcoming plain of opportunity. And then there are those goals where you didn't even know you had them until you actually achieve them. And you're like, points me. That was one of them. Okay, so Bongholio, apparently, just in time for me to go through this video, apparently, Fox News host Dan Bongholio says we are watching the collapse of an empire in real time in Saturday's opening monologue of Unfiltered. He tells us the story. But first, 8 minutes of economic theory from Dan Bongholio. Don't worry, I did not come unarmed. We are covered. This will, I have tools that are up to the task of watching Dan Bongholio inform us all of the way the economy is. Okay, so here we go. Good Lord. Yeah, he's in a smoke-filled room. I think this is just a transition clip. I think the Unfiltered thing is going away, and he's coming in from some other thing, like his lead-in and then the opening monologue. They do this, like, cold open, this is Unfiltered, and then they go to the thing, and then, I don't know. Well, I don't watch the fucking show. I watch the clips, because apparently Bongholio and those at Fox News think, you know what? You don't have to watch the show. Watch this clip, and you'll understand all there is to know about Dan Bongino's ability to intellectually sift through garbage. I don't know, whatever. Okay, let's find out.
The 23rd.
Hold on. That's Alex Jones.
Listen, man, there's no prompter for this. Why? Because I've been really...
There's no prompter for this because I didn't write it. And we'll do it live.
He ticked off all week.
He's been ticked off all week. There's no prompter. So we're going to truly unfiltered without the grotesque cigarillo stem of editorial thought, of fact-checking, of awareness of reality. He does have notes on his desk, though. We're an eighth of a second in, and the fucker is already Don Jr.ing.
Because you are watching the collapse of an empire in live time. We are going broke.
Wow. All right. Well, right out of the gate. So America is going broke. Now, excuse me. He didn't say America is going broke. He's saying we. Now, he backed Parler. He's a big fan of crypto. Maybe he also is an Evergrande investor. Maybe Fox News put all their retirement money for their hosts into Country Garden in China. Maybe they were. Maybe he thought the next big win financially for me is Russian oil and gas. Maybe that's why. He did say we. Yeah.
What kind of an idiot thinks you can continue to print money backed up by any value whatsoever, right?
Not printing money. Also, deficit down. Not printing money. You don't print money to do this. You forgive it. There's no need for the money to actually move anywhere at this point. You just no longer owe it. You don't have, they're not, these are debts already. They're not paying the tuition directly now. They're shaving a little off of the interest and other payments because these people will spend their money that they're making elsewhere. He does realize this, right? He doesn't. You do realize that people who are going for debt relief are not going to show up and go, I'm here to get my $20,000 in debt relief. Will I take it immediately to the little window over there that says pay your student loans? Absolutely I will. Thank you, my good man. My brother's coming by later. He looks just like me, but he's wearing a false mustache.
Give it to people to spend on stuff and that there's going to be zero consequences for this whatsoever.
All right, I don't know. That was just gibberish.
My idol, the late, great Milton Friedman.
Yeah, that's your idol.
He talked about this once, how
I had no idea Milton Friedman could bench press his own body weight.
there's no such thing as a free lunch somebody's paying. Take a listen.
And that is the free lunch myth. The myth that somehow or other government can provide goods and services, can spend money at nobody's expense.
Yeah, that's not what's happening here at all.
It's very cheap to turn out those pieces of paper.
Yeah, that's also not what's happening.
But does that get society something for nothing? Not at all.
No.
If you print money, people have more money to spend. If they spend more money on the same amount of goods, prices go up. And in effect, everybody is paying a tax through inflation.
Yeah, if your economy is under a giant dome, this would be true if there was no external economy for the US dollar. This is sans quote-unquote petrodollar or the euro dollar. This is sans other countries paying for their debts in US dollars. This is wholly unrelated. Okay, but okay.
All right, I love Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman was a genius, but does Milton Friedman really need to tell you that there's no such thing as free money? Now, the pen.
He didn't say there's no such thing as free money. He says there's no such thing as a free lunch. I think the free lunch myth was what he was talking about, but that's okay. We both heard it.
Morton model that just came out about this student loan program that's
Real dollars used to, quote, forgive loans. Real dollars, all right?
some people mysteriously think is free is going to cost potentially more than $1 trillion.
Oh, dear God. The Penny Horton School. Oh, you mean the Penn Horton School? You mean the same school that took Donald Trump as a student? Let's see. Okay. We'll leave out the however depending on future details. We'll see. Okay. Penn Horton student loan. We'll just see what they're fact check. Student loan versus GOP tax cut statistics about fact. Okay, where's student loan forgiving student loans budgetary costs? Where are you, Horton? An eye-popping analysis just released by Horton. Okay, here we go. This is the budget model from here we go. The actual thing. Is it in here? Okay. No, I'm not going to join your mailing list. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I've got to make the page a little bigger. We're going to learn this right along with Bongino. It's not in a teleprompter. We're free-balling it, just like Bongholio here. Okay, there you go. August 26th. The Biden student loan forgiveness plan, budgetary costs, and distributional impact. Brief debt education. Summary. Biden's new student loan forgiveness plan includes 3 major components. We estimate that debt cancellation alone will cost up to $519 billion. Now, this is money not gained and not spent. It's not an effective cost because you're not doling it out. The government just forgives it, just evaporates. But fine. With about 75% of the benefit accruing to households making $88,000 or less. Gee whiz, even targeted at a lower economic strata than Biden himself put in place, $125 and $250 per household. Isn't that lovely? Loan forbearance will cost another $16 billion. The new income-driven repayment program could cost another $70 billion. That's in interest you assume you're going to get. This is, again, effectively like, eliminating a tax that you're planning on. This is budgeted in, and then now it no longer gets budgeted in. Increasing the total plan cost to $605 billion under strict static assumptions. However, depending on future IDR program details to be released, and potential behavior, i.e. non-static changes, total plan costs could exceed $1 trillion. We estimate proposed student loan debt cancellation loan will cost between $469 and $519 over a 10-year budget window, depending on whether existing and new students are included. About 75% of the benefit falls to households making $88,000 per year or less per year. Loan forbearance 2020 costs it. Okay, under strict set. We just read that. Okay, here we go. The plan President Biden has recently announced a fact sheet for student loan relief proposal that includes those things. Okay, cool. The estimation methods herein largely follow our previous brief on student loan debt forgiveness, along with some updates to accommodate the new details released by the Biden. Okay, loan forgiveness. This is provision of it. Budgetary. Conventional budget estimates of broad student debt forgiveness. So this big chunk for this one big thing, and then over time, basically a cut down of. So 2023, we're going to allocate $5 billion to it. 2024, $5 billion to it. 2025, $5 billion to it. 2026, $5.4 billion. I guess it's not so static after all. 5.5, 5. Okay. Each year, this is the assumption based on, I guess, the current age of people going to school. For clarity, costs are recorded in the shown year-based outstanding loan vintage. Yeah, so this is when they become, when these loans mature. This is based on maturity rates of loans taken out a decade ago or 10 years ago, 20 years ago. New IDR program costs are fully static by assuming take-up rates of existing IBR programs. A conventional score would include an increase in take-up rates as discussed below. Here you go. All right. So, student debt forgiveness benefit distribution. Who's going to get it? 2A is all ages. 2B is ages 25 to 35. This is 2A, all ages. The bottom percentile, the lowest earners, the people that are broke the most, 14%. Granted, once you get lower than that, you can start getting away from people who've gotten a college education. So these are the lowest quintile of people with college debt, with university debt. Second quintile, okay. So about 50% of these fuckers are in the 20 to 36. There you go. In the second middle. That's where most of it goes. Look at this part. Top 0.1%. Zip. Remember how I was saying you don't have to give rich people these kind of debts, and they absolutely fucking have them. It's just not where the benefit's going to go, because rich people take out debt and rotate debt all the fucking time. It goes to people who are, economically trying to move up into another strata and are being hamstrung by their student loan payments. And there you go. All right, income-driven repayment. Also, let's see, $70 billion over 10 years. Again, you're going to see this 10 years. Future analysis is needed. All right, well, I'm sure Bongino. Yeah, the new features in the new IDR proposal, however, could sharply increase take-up rates. Even many borrowers who anticipate not being qualified in future years would typically be better off enrolling in the intermediate years in which they are qualified. There would also be financial incentives for future borrowers to shift education financing toward more borrowing to take advantage of the 5% repayment threshold. That's right. That's right. 5 fucking percent. 5%. 5% of your future loans could be forgiven under this budgetary outlay. 5%. So, man. All right. 5 fucking percent. 5%. 5% equals socialism. Apparently communism. Now, granted, don't hold it against Bongino that the sentence he put in here is literally in the summary box. And all right, there's a special place in hell for people who just put up a piece of, just put up the headline, or worse, the headline minus some significant words. We've seen that a bunch on Fox News. Boy, is that fun. Can't get the whole fucking headline? Ugh. And then the other one is, on a big study, you put the fucking summary up. Now, let's see if he breaks it down. I don't know. He's free balling it. So are we. Let's find out.
$1 trillion. Think about that. $1 trillion. That's a T.
Yes, it's a T over 10 years.
That's a T. This isn't an Austin.
Yeah. By the way, in the last year, Biden has brought down the deficit $1.6 trillion in a year.
Powers moment. $1 trillion. I'm not interested in paying your loans. Folks, listen, there is a loan repayment program already. And for the liberals that may have seen me on Fox and on my podcast this week talking.
No, nobody saw it. I mean, conservatives don't watch it. You're really one of the flippers. Bongholio, when they see you on, they go, eh. Judge, don't feel bad. So is Judge Janine. That's why she lost her show.
About this, I thought there's no better way for you to understand the loan repayment program for your loans, not mine. I already repaid mine that we have. I thought of a little diagram, so I put this together. It's very fancy.
Oh God. We're not going Glenn Beck, are we?
Just did this. Here it is. Here's the loan repayment.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Carl Rove called.
Program right here. I even labeled it loan repayment program. You see.
No, it's you named it loan repayment plan. You drew that. You wrote that. You were just looking at it a second ago. Dear God.
That's you.
Maybe he, in his defense, maybe he thinks program is spelled PLAN. It's fine.
And that's the rump. Sometimes called the ass, but for family-friendly purposes, we'll call it the rump.
First of all, next time use a chalkboard. The shininess of the whiteboard is erasing some of the letters, which I'm sure will give us some accidental comedy later on. There's no point in saying you're using the politically correct or the family-friendly term if you're still going to use the other term. What do I give a shit? Nobody's watching him.
I even circled it. Now, if you...
Yeah, I thought you were drawing it. I thought the ass was just really big.
You remove the rump, you see the up arrow from the seat. Up arrow, the rump goes up, okay? And if you move it to this object,
You live in a barn?
Let me label this, hold on.
Okay, yeah, believe me, you didn't have time to get this together. I like the on the fly.
Label what that is, what that object
But it's a barn. It's a barn. I've seen The Walking Dead season 2.
is here.
Nobody else needs to. If you're a Walking Dead fan, you can skip season 2. Just jump. Just do it. They didn't have any money. They had to stay on a farm. It was really weird.
Got my little thing here. J-O-B. Here. If you take the rump and you go to that building called a job,
you can hoe yourself in a barn.
You will get this thing called money. So let's go over this one more time. The rump, you remove.
I see. So just in case you don't speak Bongholio, what he's insisting here is that the reason people don't repay their student loans is because they are lazy and sit on their ass all the time. And if they would just get up off their ass and go get a job, they could repay their student loans. That's the argument he thinks he's making.
Move the rump up, and then you go over to the job, and
the job's this way. No. I mean, believe me, I'm enjoying this picture. This is hilarious, and I promise that I or no one else will later take this image and replace the whiteboard image with something else. You have my word, sir. Actually, you don't.
You get money, and then you repay your loans. Because if you don't do this, then that's my rump that has to get up and go to another job to pay your loans. And I don't want to pay your loans.
You also don't get off your rump to do your job. You literally sit on your ass at both jobs. Dickhead, you are sitting right now. So am I. This asshole's acting like he breaks fucking rocks for a living.
Because I'm not interested.
Okay, why are you throwing shit in the studio? Why is it their fault?
Thank you. I'm done. No, I'm not done. I'm just...
No, he ran out of ideas.
Just kidding. By the way, in case you think money's free and the student loan thing was it, this is just the last few months of spending besides the student loans. Here's a Forbes headline here, the CHIPS Act.
Okay, yeah. House approves $280 billion bill to boost microchip production and counter China. Right, over 10 years. what do you think the return on America basically like being the primary output country for high quality computer chips is in the trillions? Forget for a second that it's somewhere in the order of a $27 trillion industry. Right. Biden signed $730 billion Inflation Reduction Act into law, slams you voted tax climate deal. Right? And 86,000 new IRS employees. You're double dipping. These folks are in that. You can't, that's not, as I call foul.
CHIPS Act. Yeah, you mean we paid $280 billion in our tax bills to give microchip companies that make billions of dollars? Yeah, that happened.
To give microchip companies that make billions of dollars. Motherfucker, we're reshoring chip factories. Look, let's see. U.S. chip. A lot of these, by the way, are matching funds, just for the record. Let me do this real quick. This is August 9th. This is just the latest one. Micron to invest $40 billion in U.S. chip manufacturing. Micron announced Tuesday it will invest $40 billion in memory chip manufacturing with the help of the CHIPS and Science Act. So they are matching funds given them or subsequently getting, a $10 billion breaking boost to come up with this amount. That's like one company is investing in the United States, by the way, somewhere in the order of like a sixth of that entire bill. Micron announced Tuesday it will invest $40 billion in memory chip manufacturing with the help of CHIPS and Science Act. The investment will create up to 40,000 jobs in the U.S., including 5,000 highly paid roles at Micron. The company said Joe Biden signed the CHIPS and Science Act on Tuesday, which aims to revitalize domestic chip manufacturing and boost U.S. competitiveness with China. Micron announced Tuesday it will invest $40 billion between now and 2030 to manufacture chips in the U.S. The investment is supported by grants and credits from the CHIPS and Science Act. A bipartisan bill will create 40,000 jobs. 5,000. Okay. All right. By the way, for the record, Bongino was one of these assholes who was jumping through his fucking shirt because Trump was supposedly bringing an air conditioning factory to Indiana.
And then they took $739 billion more for the hilariously titled Inflation Reduction Act. That's a real clown show. And then they took some money out of that to pay 86,852 new IRS employees to come take more of my tax dollars.
No, they're for giant companies that are hiding money overseas, and they have armies of accountants that help them hide this stuff, and it requires dealing with the international monetary system of which I'm not sure if you're aware of this. There are over 7.6 billion people on the fucking planet, and there are almost as many ways to hide money. Just saying. Yeah, 8,700 over 2 years, exactly, or after 10 years.
To pay my neighbor Tony's little kid Sunflower, or whatever his name is, gender studies degree. So
I see. So it's his neighbor Tony has a gay kid or something in this story, and he's named the kid Sunflower because he's a hippie, and the kid is studying gender, which in the future there will be no job for, I suppose, and therefore. Oh, this is about. Sorry, he wouldn't actually get, if he didn't get his degree years ago, he still isn't going to be able to get it with this money because it's from before. You'd have to redo this again.
So I got to work my ass off to pay for his stuff. I'm already paying for my daughter, and I already paid off my own loans. Listen, little hot today. Sorry, I'm not happy about this.
Yeah, I don't expect you to be. You work at Fox. B, you don't understand words when you read them. It could be frustrating. You know what I mean? When you're driving down the street and you see a stop sign and you think it says tops and you're like, look, thanks a lot. I feel tops. And then you careen through a four-way intersection and get hit by a car. I can understand. It's upsetting.
By the way, our own Griff Jenkins, I want you to listen to this. He found a little nugget. Talk about, no such thing as a free lunch and all this money we're paying to other people who aren't you because you're working to give it to them.
Or, quite frankly, a big portion of the Fox viewership has kids and grandkids with student loan debt, many of them veterans who are specifically helped by this bill, because there's a way that you can get part of your loan forgiven in the past, or you can get part of it written off, or you can do a pause on your payments if you're doing public service, or you can work off the interest on it. There's all kinds of variants in there. People who were vets or were doing National Guard service or were working as fucking volunteer firefighters and shit like that, they were not getting credit for those times. And so, because it's a big pain in the ass to go through it. So the Biden administration in that bill, in the loan forgiveness executive order that he signed, actually tightens that system up and makes it easier for you to apply and make sure that you get credit.
There's a little nugget in this Inflation Reduction Act you may have missed. Remember Solyndra? Here, check this out.
Deep inside the Inflation
I love this movie. Deep inside the Inflation Reduction Act. Debbie does deep inside the All right, quit it.
Reduction Act on page 614, to be exact, is a major expansion of the kind of federal loan that Solyndra got a decade ago where they...
This guy's amazing. There's a thing, it's on page 600. More, remember, just like with books, more pages equals bad. Look, just because we have 340 million people and the biggest economy on earth, we trounce everything in the whole world. All of our bills should be written on a napkin and we'll call it a fucking day, bro.
Bilked the Obama administration for some $500 million. Only this time,
jeez, $500 million. $500 million. By the way, do we want to talk about Trump's literally making it like hamstringing the enforcement of people looking into who got PPP loans and why?
It's on a much larger scale, so much so that
solar has come a long way since then.
A former assistant energy secretary under the Clinton administration tells the New York Times it's a, quote, sleeping giant because of the massive amount being made available now.
No, what? They're going to look at all these solar panels, as we all know, very complicated, not as easy to understand like gas, and also gay.
Let's go back and recall the Energy Department's loan program.
Let's go back to a time when solar panels had 1/16 the efficiency they currently have now.
Programs began under President George W. Bush in 2005.
2005. Let's go back. And as a matter of fact, when we go back, why don't we use the phone I had back then as well? As a matter of fact, we're coming in. Here we go. Here, explain to the people, on the landline, since we're going back to not everyone had a smartphone at this point in history. Okay, tell them. Jesus Christ. Let's go back to 2005. Let's go back to before the catalytic converter was invented to see if cars are a good idea.
That paved the way for guys like Elon Musk and electrical vehicles, but they were exposed also for waste and fraud when...
Yeah, by the way, these guys can't stop gargling Elon Musk's balls, but, I'm sorry, are we gonna go through Enron, for example? How about this? How about we go through anything that turned out that Republicans tried that didn't work, and we'll compare price tags. How about that?
Solyndra went bankrupt in 2011 after squandering $535 million in failed solar panel loans under the Obama administration. Mm-hmm. Now,
as we all know, the sun has stopped shining and no one uses solar anymore. Also, bird cancer.
Biden administration is doing is adding $100 billion to existing loan programs and adding up to $250 billion in new loan guarantees.
Again, what kind of a dope thought this up?
I don't know. I'm going to go with your producer, because you obviously didn't prep this, so you're just freeballing it. You just came into studio. You were chatting with them, and then they went and sort of tried to Frankenstein some clips and some headlines together for you, and they had to go all the way back to 2011. Jesus Christ, man. What the fuck? 12 fucking years ago. One project. And by the way, the fact that they're not playing a montage of this asshole and everybody at his network fucking gargling Elon Musk's testicles over the last year and a half. He's going to buy Twitter. It's going to be magic and all that stuff. You know, there would be no Tesla. There would be no money to buy Twitter if it wasn't for the Obama-Biden administration extending loans when they were supporting the big three, adding more money for electric car companies. There is no Tesla without it. Fuck you. End of story. Stop it. It is the great example of a company using a leg up by society presented to them by the normalization of taxation by democratically elected representatives who go, this is what they elected me to do. I'm going to push the tax dollars in this direction because that's what my constituents want. It's not socialism. It's not fucking communism. It's just support for a market inside the country that the public, the taxpayer said, more of that, please.
Solyndra blows through $535 million. Wait, time out. How the hell do you burn through $535 million?
Research and development.
You can burn through $20 at Chipotle or something, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know how many employees they had. Maybe they had 65,000 employees and they all went to Chipotle 8 days in a row.
How the hell do you burn through $535 million?
Well, I would guess that you would put all your research eggs in a relatively small basket on a particular technology that turned out to be swamped by a better technology from somebody else. I mean, let me give an example. Do this. Good growth. I gotta go. I'll go with this one. Let's see how you. Well, like here you go. Bill Gates, one of the richest people on Earth. No, thank you. Here's there's a list of times in entrepreneur.com when Bill Gates fucked up. There's plenty of debate around Microsoft's massive investment in Apple, $150 million in August of 97, when Apple was just weeks away from bankruptcy. The money helped Apple create its new iMac and eventually the iPod. 23 years later, Apple became the first U.S. company to reach $2 trillion in valuation. Bloomberg asked whether it's the worst business deal ever. While ZD said it's all been an exaggeration, blah, blah, blah. When we have to let go of the notion that for Apple to win, Microsoft has to lose, the era of us thinking that way, basically, let's be honest, without Mac, there is no Microsoft because Apple was effectively the user interface R&D development arm of Microsoft. They would just steal it. Windows looks exactly like it. They helped develop. They literally had to change some things so they wouldn't get sued. This was effectively a payoff. Salvaging the company. $150 million, and now the company's worth $2 trillion, and they sold their stake years ago.
What the hell were you buying?
Well, let's see. Hold on one second. Solyndra. Let me see. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Get out of here. There you go. This is from TechCrunch. The spectacular failure of solar manufacturer Solyndra is being held up by some as a shining example of the Obama administration's failure to properly manage government subsidies after its collapse left taxpayers with $535 million in federally guaranteed loans. But Solyndra's failure on its own is not remarkable. There are always risks involved when you're introducing innovation to a commoditized market. The bigger and still unanswered question is, why did it take this much capital before it failed, given the warning signs? In commoditized markets, explains Brad Zangler of Pivotal Investments, I'm sure Dan Bongholio could have him on as a guest if he asked, a firm with numerous investments in the clean tech, green tech space, the challenge is to disrupt the cost of producing energy, not just to create a worthy innovation. In fact, in a business like solar, the go-to market strategy is just as important as the technology a company is developing. In Solyndra's case, the technology was a new, unique type of tubular solar panel. The shape itself was an innovation, but the company was also benefiting from another advantage. It didn't use polysilicon. It wasn't affected by the shortages which were hurting its competitors. In 2008, polysilicon was more than $400 per kilogram, but by the time the federal government issued Solyndra's loan, the price had fallen to just over $50 per kilogram. They innovated for a problem that was going to subvert an entire market that didn't actually have to be done. In the process, while they were doing this, the price of materials for their competitors dropped by 7/8. The early shortages were obviously going to be a temporary issue, but given that new polysilicon plants were in the process of being built, explains Michael Butler, and managing director of the firm's Sustainable Industries Practice Group, he says, any first-year economics student knows the price goes down if the supply increases, which raised the question, what were the government thinking? What were they, the government, thinking? Zenger agrees, also noting, as did Butler, that the government has smart people working there, which leaves many wondering what happened. Did the due diligence stop? Did they miss key indicators that could have pointed to the issues? Did they misinterpret the data they were seeing? Did they, by any chance, know that it was a flexible market and that in the future it would be nice if you built a technology that didn't require polysilicon at all, and if you could do that with locally made stuff, even if it took an extra 10 years, would it still be fucking worth it? That's where I think their brain probably went. Yeah, we can get polysilicon, but we got to get it from here and here, right? We got to get it from that country and that country. We don't have a lot of it here. Otherwise, we'd have plenty. The questions get murkier thanks to a report from the Nonpartisan Congressional Research Service, which now says there were several factors that could have served as warning signs ahead of or shortly after the government investment. These included price shifts in polysilicon, as noted above, the panel's inability to work with residential roofing systems or in large solar farms, a key part that they were still in the development phase, so you can't necessarily know that, that's hindsight, and increasing competition in manufacturing capabilities from expansions in China and Taiwan. They were undercut by the Chinese market. Same thing that happened with the Saudis trying to undercut the shale oil revolution in the United States. They artificially lower the price, especially in China, to cut into any innovation. Because if somebody innovates their way out of your control point, you no longer have a chokehold.
How did you do that? You can burn through $20 taking an Uber ride to the bar.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
How the hell?
Burn through $20 taking an Uber ride to the barn. What the fuck does this asshole think goes into, like, researching, developing, and inventing and innovating an entirely new way of getting renewable energy that does not have a secondary waste byproduct? What the fuck?
How do you burn through $535 million? You know how? Let me tell you how.
The government lets you, and green energy is bad, and AOC something.
You spend other people's money, and then you can burn through anything.
Oh, I see. You're talking about, I thought you were still talking about Solyndra. You're talking about Trump Casino and Trump Steaks and Trump golf clubs and that stuff? Trump Water? That's what you're talking about now, right? You just left some, I don't know, maybe there was an edit.
So some dope in the Biden administration said, I got a great idea. We blew $535 million on Solyndra when I was the vice president. Let's
They're reusing graphics from other shows.
burn another $100 billion now. These guys are great. Gosh, how did the dumbest people on planet Earth all wind up in D.C. at the same time?
I don't know. I thought you shot your show in New York.
Listen, man, I'm not paying your loans.
No, you're not. They're already paid for effectively. It's forgiven is the point. They no longer, people are no longer on the hook for them. The services themselves and all that kind of stuff they've already been paid for years ago. Some of the professors that got paid during the time these people went to school are dead.
Pay your own damn student.
They're just shaving the Pell Grant part and 10 grand off of lower income people's level because they can't make enough in the job market to take care of their children or feed themselves or house themselves and pay the loan at the same time. And because you can't repossess someone's intellect, you can't discharge it in bankruptcy. So it still hangs around even if you've had a catastrophic illness or something like that. So helping folks with that really does, like he gives a fuck.
Loans. This is real money. Pay for your own chips, pay for your own Solyndras, pay for your own factories for 530.
Yes, this is a fuck America monologue from Dan Bongino. So I'm glad he's coming out for no more corporate subsidies of any kind. I'm kidding, he's not for that.
$5 million. Just leave my money out of it. We're not your bank, okay? Listen, people hate the idea of unfairness and the idea of me.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's unfair.
Paying for, again, Sunflower's urban studies degree doesn't interest me at all. And I got to tell you this.
Well, how about this? How about like criminal justice studies for people who will eventually want to move from being a local police officer to a U.S. Marshal or a detective, or move their way up into, the FBI or something like that, and they're working as hard as they can in the area that they have to live in with their family and all that kind of stuff. They have to take on quite a bit of debt to move from being like a street cop to actually eventually getting, into the FBI or up into working in the DOJ or working in the Attorney General's office in their state or anywhere else. That's going to cost them somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000 over time. Those are the folks, because of their service and because of their economic outlook, that are most served in this situation.
This isn't a Democrat or Republican thing. It's a working person's thing.
Oh, what the fuck do you know about it then? You got a podcast and you're on the 5 half the time. Again, this asshole acts like he's breaking rocks for a living.
A lot of people are really mad about this.
And a lot of people are, until they realize it helps them, and they're like, oh, shit. Hey, what's happening, John? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Oh, you got a little more money in your pocket and you're able to spend it here? Why is that? Oh, you're student. I see. Your student loan was forgiven. Oh, that's good. So you don't have that extra payment, so you're able to come into the store more often. Well, I'm glad to get congratulations. No, I don't watch. I was watching the Bongino show before. I don't watch it anymore. He was being a dick about your people like yourself who are benefiting from the student loan forgiveness part of it. But I'm just glad it's nice. And you got your kid with you too. That's really lovely. Right? You guys are going out for ice cream. You can now afford to go out for ice cream because you don't have the extra $250 a month that you had to pay. And okay. Great. Cool. Yeah, feel free to look around.
Sent one of our staff out on the street to start asking people, hey, listen, how do you feel about paying off your rich neighbor's loan? Yeah, the answers weren't great for the administration. Take a listen.
Okay, so self-selected videos, I'm sure, self-selected interviews, I'm sure that they included anybody who was for it, and they didn't ask hyperbolic questions. Let's see.
I think it's terrible.
I think that if
What's terrible? Sorry, at this point, there's no fucking way I'm going to assume that you didn't just go, how do you feel about monkeypox? Like, if it was like transmissible from doorknobs. I think it's terrible.
if you borrowed the money, you need to pay it back.
as I'm putting each one of my children through school.
But by the way, does Fox News have like stalkers? They're literally outside the front of their building.
And now the government is asking us to pay college tuitions for children on top of my own.
I think
Children on top of your own. No, these are actually working adults, and it's just shaving a little bit off of it. Did you say how much? No.
colleges are going to probably start raising prices again. Now this is going to spark even more inflation to push it up even higher. So the average guys like us that try to send our kids to college, it just makes it more difficult and just puts more debt on all of us.
I think
No, it doesn't. That again, this is largely money that won't be coming in, not money that you have to put out. It's just how this works.
I think if we could identify my mortgage as a student loan, then I'd be all in.
Might as well add in your car payment.
loan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can repossess your car, dum-dum. And they can repossess your house. That's why you can discharge it under bankruptcy, because your creditors can sell off the assets. But when it comes to a student loan, it's all between your ears going forward, fuckhead.
My car loan would be good. I think.
Yeah, would you give it back your car too?
I think he's trying to buy votes with the 20-somethings, hoping that
The 20-somethings who are you're off by a decade, fucko.
they're going to vote for him, but he's going to run off all the 50-somethings who paid off their student loans.
Nope. Doesn't seem to be the case.
We are going bankrupt.
We're going bankrupt. We cannot afford to shave Pell Grants off of your student loan debt as America, as the world's largest economy. Can't do it.
Watching the collapse of an empire.
The collapse of an empire. It's no use, Luke. If you'd have been here, you'd have been killed too. And the droids would have had their loans forgiven. Run, Luke, run.
This is supposed to be a republic that
Yeah, it is.
operates on consent of the governed.
It is. We voted in Joe Biden and he ran on $10,000 worth of forgiveness. He also recognized that the Pell Grant system is already prepaid for, so forgiving it doesn't actually add to the deficit or cost any extra. You can just kind of discharge it. So he did that too. We voted for this, fucko. 81 million of us.
I'm revoking my consent right now.
Yeah, that's not how it works, dipshit. or we'd have done it when Trump was in office. The fuck's the matter with you?
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Wait, that's the end? He's revoking his consent. What are you going to do? You moving out? You leaving the country? Bongholio? Is that what's happening? What a fucking douchebag. Okay, look. We have, under our constitutional system, we have we don't have a winner-take-all system, but we do have a majority rule system with baseline protections for the minority. That's how it works. That's how the constitutional system is set up. And when it works well, it benefits those in the minority even when the majority is doing something, large like this. And that's exactly what's happening in this fucking case. But where the fuck do you think Bongholio is going? I revoke my consent. I regret that I have but one podcast to give for my country. Jeez, yeah, he's going to Russia next. Yeah, have fun. Yeah, aren't these the assholes who are always telling us, like, why don't you move, if you like your socialism, why don't you go to Venezuela, huh? Well, how about this, mister? If you want your pure, unfettered capitalism with no governmental controls and no response by the taxpayers in how that they would like to adjudicate and alleviate some of the financial pressures therein on previously accredited members of society who benefit the greater body politic through their education and their upward mobility choices. Why don't you move to Peter Thiel's fake island country on a oil rig? Pay for everything with PayPal. Good Lord. Yeah, find another country to hate. Oh, MAGA is so done. Yeah, that's right. I revoke. You're revoked. No. I revoke your revoke. No, your revoke. That's your revoke, not my. You know what? I reinstated his consent because my guy won the last election, so I get to do that. That's how it works. As long as we're, as long as we're like trying to hit farts with a badminton racket, intellectually speaking. Congratulations, Bongholio. You are you've regained your crown as the dumbest person we cover with any regularity here. Currently, I will say Glenn Beck is giving you a run for your money in sort of the idiotic nature of the Mar-a-Lago raid. But short of that, there you go.